Evening, everybody, and welcome back to SKR on a Sunday night. Season 5, round 9, and we're in Austria. Tonight, if you haven't seen a sprint race here at SKR before, just an explanation, no quali session. We go straight into the sprint race. The sprint race grid is determined by a reverse grid order of the championship. So we will have the championship leaders beginning from the back of the field. Obviously then the sprint race will determine your grid order for the feature race, happening a little later. Reason we're sitting in silence is there is a 3-minute mandatory break at the start of the race so that everybody has an opportunity to load their setups correctly and obviously set up the right strategy. Not too much of strategy for a sprint race. Drivers will be going from start to end without a pit stop, hopefully. If you do go to the pits in a sprint race, it probably wasn't part of your plan. See, Austria, one of the shorter circuits on the calendar, so I do believe we will have some DRS trains forming. Very short track, difficult to break the DRS, but in the next 12 laps, so much to play for. As mentioned before, the sprint race determines the grid for the feature race. So for the guys at the top of the championship, for the fastest guys, they're all at the back of the field, so we're going to see a lot of those cars coming through the field. So expect lots of wheel-to-wheel racing and lots of overtakes. Hopefully some quality overtakes. We don't want to see any safety cars. That would be great. Just 10 corners on this race circuit. Most of those corners are to the right. 7 to the right, 3 to the left. And obviously the most victories around this circuit is 4 victories to Max Verstappen. The race should be beginning shortly, just getting confirmation on Discord that we're ready to go. So we should see images shortly. Evening to Ultra in the comment section. Evening to Death Queen, thanks for joining us yet again. Been loyal viewers throughout the season. And here we go, 5 red lights. We'll wait for them to disappear and then the cars will get on their way. It's all about into turn 1 here. We see a whole flurry of cars there at the back going. Don't see any carbon fiber, but looked like some McLarens were getting into trouble. Just bring up some stats on your screen. We've got a Haas-off circuit. We've got a Ferrari on the inside of the circuit. We've got all sorts of havoc happening here on lap 1. No safety car has been activated. Apmagozi leads the race for the Alpha Tauri. Then we have another Alpha in second, but that's an Alfa Romeo. Alpha Tauri leads from Alfa Romeo. Alpine in third place, the Skies. Then we have the first of the 2 Haas drivers, Scully, P4, Top Gun, P5. Top Gun up into P3. Now here at the front, Apmagosi still leads from Visor. That gap just 0.2 of a second. He's not going to be able to hold on to it much longer. Visor pulls alongside him now on the straight and should have the inside line. Pushes him a little wide, but the Alfa Romeo takes the lead of the race, and that might have just messed with Apmagosi's momentum a little bit, because it's allowing the the Aston Martin to come at him. He's going to defend for as long as he can, because this is going to determine where he starts for the main race. But remember, it is a reverse grid. So we should be seeing drivers at the top dropping to the back and drivers at the back rising to the front. There's the Red Bull of Afro. He's currently in P3. And he has made up 14. Make it 15 as he pops himself into P2. Afro, 15 positions made up since the start of the race. And now his only target left is Visor up front, 0.6 of a second down the road. Fastest lap from Afro, 1:07.3. And we'll see those times come down as these cars get lighter. Afro up the inside. Does he hold on to it? Looks like he does. Alfa Romeo slots in behind him. Ooh, that almost got really messy. Now the Aston Martin looking to take the lead, goes around the outside. It's too long to go that way around. Red Bull stays in front for now. Top Gun right on his gearbox, not giving this up anytime soon. Lap 3 of 12. We are at 1/4 distance. Remember, this is the penultimate round of SKR for Season 5, as well as the penultimate round for 2023. Afro goes even quicker, 1:06.9, new fastest lap. He leads this race. Top Gun, 0.6 of a second adrift. He'll be doing everything he can to stay within the DRS of that car. So long as you get DRS, you just get a little bit of assistance, you get towed around. Mercedes attempting a move on the Alfa Romeo. Fricky versus Visor. Visor holds firm for now. At the back of the field, we have Louis McLaren P17. Mr. Rem in the second horse, he's P16. Venom 15. Apmagosi's lost 11 places since the start of the race, but he's not the biggest loser since the start of the race. Disguise has lost 12 positions. Actually, your top 3, Disguise, Apmagosi and Venom, they started as your top 3. They are now in P13, 14 and 15, just on lap 5. Shows you how quickly the order can switch in one of these reverse grid sprint races. Top Gun falling behind Afro, making it look easy. 2 seconds is the gap. Remember, a very short racetrack, so 2 seconds is an incredibly big gap. Chums holding on to the position where he started. He's still in P6. Even with all the mayhem around him, he has remained in P6 throughout. Afro leads the way and the gap continues to grow, 2.5 seconds. Top Gun coming under a little pressure from Fricky, who has since taken 3rd place away from Visor. Visor has also just fallen off a little, almost outside of DRS. Scully still in P5. But your leader, 16 positions since the start of the race. And leading the race by just over 2.5 seconds. Another driver that's done fantastic since the start of the race is Ulrich. He's 10 places up, started in P16, now in P6. No penalties for anyone on your screen so far, that is good. And then we'll just have a brief look at the tyre situation. Afro started on a set of softs, as did Ulrich, Andre, Venom and Mr. M. The rest of the field choosing to start on the medium tyre. Now I wonder if that may just explain a little bit of Afro's pace, where it's coming from. Could it be from the extra rubber from the softer compound? And if that is the case, if that is the only difference between the two drivers, if the difference comes down to the rubber they're driving on, then towards the end of the race, Afro's lap times should begin to drop off, and that's when Top Gun's tyres should come alive. But unfortunately, in such a short distance race, this gap may be too big already. 3.8 seconds. Giving himself a lot of work to do if those tyres do indeed drop off. Fricky now right over the back of Top Gun, 0.2 of a second. It's as close to the gearbox as you can get without actually hitting it. And the Mercedes of Fricky, the Aston Martin of Top Gun, continue to fight for P2. Now remember, the Drivers' Championship and Constructors' Championship have been sorted, as far as I know. But this race, as well as the final race next week, will still hold a very important role for everyone else in the Constructors and everyone else in the Drivers. Still many positions to be sorted out in the championship with just 2 rounds to go. Many drivers on very similar points. I had a brief look at the points before the race, and if I'm not mistaken, there's only 2 drivers tonight that cannot improve their championship position, and that is first and second place. Everyone else on the grid can improve tonight. We have Van just getting out of shape with the Ferrari. The Ferrari seemed to be all over the place, but he has since recovered. He's now P11. His teammate down in P16. No points for the Ferrari team so far. Afro leads the way, 3.8 seconds. Gap has sort of stabilized, and as I say, that jumps up into 4. Fricky also not having an easy time of it. He can't just concentrate on catching that car ahead of him, because he's got to worry about this McLaren that's bobbing and weaving in every direction behind him, looking to get past. So he's defending while doing everything he can to stay on terms with the leader. 3 laps to go, and the lead is 4.2 seconds. The Alfa Romeos so far having a good evening. They're P4, P5. Different compounds of tyre, different strategies for the 2 teammates. And Fricky's still fighting for P2. He still wants P2. Wants to start the feature race on the front row of the grid. Wants to get maximum points that he can out of this sprint race. And as they go over the start-finish line, he's going to have another 2 laps to try and get past. Afro seems to be almost taking it easy at the front of the field. 4.5 seconds, we ride with your leader. Austria, of course, a track that has gone through a total of 5 variations. In its initial layout, it was a much longer circuit. currently sits at 4.3 kilometers. I think the original length was 5.8 kilometers. Very similar to the track we see today. Straights were a little longer, and the runoffs weren't quite as safe. This is P3. Fricky activates DRS, and now this time surely easily done before he gets into the corner, and they're coming out of the corner, just loses it slightly, and that allows Top Gun to come right back at him. It's one of the problems here with Austria. You get these very tight braking points, and then on acceleration sometimes you get a little greedy. You know you need to get going. Guys right behind you jump on the accelerator a little too quick. Extreme loss of traction, and all the work you did to make that pass, well, you're going to have to start the process all over again. Now Fricky into the penultimate corner, and now into the final corner. He's going to activate DRS and have another go at this. He made the pass on the last lap. Is he going to be able to do it this time around? Don't think he's going to be quite close enough. He's going to have to wait for the second DRS zone. Let's go back to a trackside camera and get a better view of these two having an absolute go at it. Afro P1, Fricky P2, and Top Gun P3. P4 and 5, the two Alfa Romeos, and they're actually running line astern. They've caught up with each other. This is the final lap. Andre P6, Oshkar 2, P7, both horses in the points, P8 and P10, and then Virus, second Mercedes-Benz in P9. We go back to your leader as he's going to go over the start-finish line any second and take victory. Season 5 round 9 sprint race has been completed. Afro takes the victory from Fricky. Top Gun finishes P3. Then we're going to have Ulrich. Seems like his teammate has fallen away at the last minute. Andre P5, Harshkar 2 in P6. Visor may have had a penalty, that's why he fell back. P7. Then the two Haas drivers, Mr. M and Scully, and Dixie Killer making up the top 10. We now will just await the official results, have a read through them, and remember, while I read those results, those will also be your qualifying positions for round 9 here at the Red Bull Ring. And speaking of the Red Bull Ring, driver of the day and winner of the sprint race, Afro for Red Bull Racing. So there are your results, and will be your qualifying starting order. Afro to start from pole, Fricky alongside him on the front row of the grid. Then we got Top Gun P3, Ulrich P4, Andre 5th, Harshkar 2 and 6, Visor 7. Then we have the two Haas drivers 8 and 9, Mr. Rem and Scully, Dixie Killer P10, Virus 11, Chums 12, Venom 13, Louis 14, Disguise, your pole sitter in the sprint race, P15, Apmagozi 16, and Van making up your field in P17. If any drivers are listening, remember there is a 2-minute mandatory break between races, usually a 5-minute mandatory break, but shortened for the sprint race. Remember not to start the race, give everybody 2 minutes to allow them to make any changes that are needed. Of course, a lot more changes to think of than in the start of the sprint race. Sprint race is pretty much start to finish. You don't want to visit the pits unless you have damage, and those tires should take you from start to end. Feature race, very different. Longer race, you're going to have to make a mandatory stop. You're going to have to use at least 2 compounds of tire unless rain is involved in the race. And obviously in that sprint race we also did not see any safety cars or any breaks in the race whatsoever. In a race like this, you could have the perfect strategy and a safety car could come out at the wrong moment and throw this entire thing on its head. Winning a sprint race, difficult enough. Winning a feature race, even that much more. Afro will start from pole position. So the Red Bull's doing exactly what they need to do. Well, there's only one Red Bull, but that Red Bull doing exactly what it needs to do at the Red Bull ring. Couldn't be a better advertisement. The previous layout of this circuit was a little quicker than it is today. Basically, where turn 1 is today, you would continue up that hill for another 700 or 800 meters. Then you would be met with a right-hand turn and a very long straight that would lead you basically to where Sector 3 joins today. Much faster race circuit, much longer, and eventually the track was discontinued for safety reasons. The interesting fact on Austria, Red Bull is currently in talks with the FIA on getting the rest of that layout FIA Grade 1 status, so they can bring back the Red Bull ring to its full glory of 5.9 kilometers. I think it's 5.9, or it was 5.9. Some support for Andre and Louis in the comment section. I believe that is, I don't have any info on my screen, but I think that's the McLaren team. We have a McLaren supporter. And here we go again, 5 red lights. And we're underway. Good start by the Red Bull. It's going to lead into turn 1 pretty easily. Will Frickie hold on to P2? The Aston Martin's coming nice and quick. Top Gun takes P2 away from Frickie. Ulrich up into P4. Then the first of the 2 McLarens, Andre P5, Weiser P6, Harsh Cartoon P7. Really nice first lap. No collisions as of yet. We have a Ferrari going off track. We have a McLaren going off track. Louis gets a 10-second penalty. I believe that was for cutting that hairpin. We saw him go across the grass. Back at the front of the race, Afro leads 8/10 of a second, 9/10 of a second already the gap. He's going to break that DRS any moment now, and he has 1.1 seconds already breaking any DRS train on lap 1. It's exactly what you need to do. Frickie P2, Top Gun P3. Let's just have a look at your tyre situation, because that could be crucial to the race. The top 3 all on a set of mediums. Then we have Ulrich and Andre P4, P5 on a set of hards. If they are able to stay with this group and then go longer into the race as a result of those hards, could have an interesting strategy on our hands. But all of that will fall away if they're not able to stay on terms with the top 3. And remember, regardless of your strategy, regardless of the gap at the front, a safety car at any time could flip everything. We spent the whole F1 season in 2023 seeing a Red Bull runaway at the front. And in SKR Season 5, we have seen that result emulated time and time again. Red Bull at the front, running off into the distance, and everyone else having a fantastic race of their own. Tricky P2 still defending from the Aston Martin. These two have been of a similar pace. They've been attacking each other throughout since the sprint race, and they have simply kept that challenge into the feature race. It has simply continued. Ulrich P4, Andre, top McLaren, P5. Harsh Cartoon, top Alpine, P6. Two Ferraris sitting in P9 and 10, now coming under pressure from, I believe that's a Mercedes. That's the Mercedes of Visor. Looking to get past the pair of Ferraris. Is this now a switch between teammates? Not sure if that was a switch between teammates or if that was a pass. But I don't think Venom was going to fight it too hard in the context of the race. Afro still leads. That gap continues to grow, 2.9 seconds. And Fricky under all sorts of pressure. These two just can't get away from each other. They'll make a pass but can't break the DRS. And that just means they stay together lap after lap. And the pressure must be building on the man in front. Every single time he looks at his mirrors, he'll see, well, all he'll see is an Aston Martin. Top Gun opened DRS and thought about it there. Thought better of it. Remember, it's a long race. We just had a sprint race, 12 laps long. This is a 36 lap race. Still a very long way to go. And you've really got to think about your race in the longer context. If you're desperate to get P2 now and go for a lunge and it costs you your front wing, it's really not worth the lunge. Got to sit, wait, be patient, apply the pressure, stay consistent, and hopefully eventually the man in front of you will have to crack. Afro keeps on going faster. His first fastest lap was a 109, then a 108, now it's a 107.3. And as the drivers get back into the feel of the racetrack, as the tyres get up to temperature, and obviously as the cars begin to get lighter lap by lap, those lap times should continue to come down. It'll be interesting to see later on in the race what people do with their tyre strategy. I'm presuming, I don't know, do the guys on mediums finish on hards and the hards finish on mediums? Then what are the guys on softs doing? Planning to stop twice? All will be revealed. Quiet comment section tonight. Should be expected. Viewers begin to drop at the end of the season when championships have been decided. Just to have a quick look at the lead in that Constructors' Championship. Obviously we haven't taken the results of the sprint race into account. So before that sprint race, Red Bull's lead in the Constructors' Championship was 228 points. And the man leading the race, that's Aphrodox. He leads this championship by an unmountable, unpassable 84 points. Battle for P2 continues. There's nothing in it between these two. They just consistently putting in such similar lap times. Really good racing between Aston Martin and Mercedes, Top Gun and Fricky. They gave us action in the sprint race, and it simply just continued into the feature race. Same pace. And lots of consistency. Fastest lap 107.0 for Afro. We saw him get into the 106s in the sprint race, so there's still much more to come from that driver. We start to get our first corner cutting penalty. Well, Louis did have a corner cutting penalty, but that was a major corner cutting penalty, 10 seconds. And this guy has just become the first driver in the field to pick up a 3-second penalty on the night. That is for track limits. Divan, he was in P10 behind his teammate. Then we saw those Ferraris switch, and it was obviously a good strategical pass by the teammates, because Van has since made up 2 positions. He's up into P7. Most of your midfield trapped in DRS train. Your leader, he doesn't even know if the DRS on his car is faulty, because he hasn't used it yet. Top Gun just ahead of Fricky. And here's another one of these DRS trains. They involve Ulrich, Andre, Divan and Mr. Rem. Andre wants to break into the top 4, wants to get past the Alfa Romeo and hopefully break this DRS train, get himself into a little bubble on the track, a little peace and quiet before he can try and chase down your podium sitters. But first he's going to need to get past the Alfa Romeo and somehow break this queue. For Divan and Mr. Rem, they'll be a little frustrated. They're on a set of soft tyres, both those drivers. Mr. Rem and Divan, they will be looking to come through this field as quickly and as efficiently as possible. And they're just getting a little bit trapped now in this DRS train. 2 cars in front of them, both on hard tyres, so that's not going according to plan. You want to break this queue. You want to get out there. But instead, you're sitting in a roadblock. We still have all 17 runners that started this race on lap 9 of 36. Almost said lap 39 of 36. That would have been very confusing. Scully, he is the man that makes up your field. Scully in 17th could soon be lapped by your leader. Scully coming out of turn 1, Afro going into turn 1. So he could catch that horse down the road sooner than later. And while the leader's comfortable, these two can't find any comfort at all. Fricky and Top Gun, battle for P2 continues. Still lots to play for both these drivers, Fricky and Top Gun. Top Gun is currently P11 in the championship on 54 points. And before the end of the championship, he could probably get himself as high as 5th or 6th if things go his way. Still a lot to play for. Fricky and Top Gun, not only together on track, also right together in the championship. Fricky P10 in the championship, Top Gun P11 in the championship, and they separated by 1 point. So it's a fight for P2 on the track and a fight for P10 in the championship. And please do bear in mind that these calculations I am making are not absolutely correct, because they do not include our sprint race results. Gap at the front, 8 seconds. Top Gun has for this entire race, from turn 1 till now, in lap 12, these two have been together the whole time. Just fantastic racing, and to see all 17 drivers on track after 12 laps, no incidents, no safety cars, no retirements. It's really good to see, and just 2 drivers with penalties. It's a good representation of SKR, that not only is the driving fast, the driving is also clean. A league of fast drivers and quality drivers. See, this week we're in Austria for the penultimate round, and then next week we are at the final round of Season 5. That race will be in Australia. Up until 1995, Australia was the final race of the season, but not where it is now at Albert Park. Final race of the season was a street circuit in Adelaide. That street circuit in Adelaide was also once the site of a pretty controversial championship. The 1994 championship that eventually went to Michael Schumacher by just 1 point. After both cars retired from the race, and many believe to this day that Schumacher did it quite purposefully, as he knew he didn't have the pace to stay with the Williams for the remainder of the race. Back at SKR, all sorts of action out on track. Ferrari fighting against what should be their junior team, Alfa Romeo, but at the moment just being schooled a little bit by Alfa Romeo. Van on the soft tyre, Ulrich on the hard tyre, 2 very different strategies at play. Afro, we go to him every now and then to see how he's doing, but there's really no point. He's just all out there on his own. 12.5 seconds as he gets closer and closer to the horse of Scully. That will be to lap the horse. Top Gun and Ricky takes the lead up the inside, nicely done into the hairpin, and I'm sure we'll see more of those moves now as Top Gun comes back past. These two trading places like it's nothing. And you'd think with all this fighting it would allow fourth place to come back into it. These two are somehow fighting and maintaining their pace. I hope we see this race right to the end of the race. But these two are so on the limit, so close together that a mistake almost seems inevitable. We have a driver dropping down the field. Is there a problem? No, there's not a problem. That's just Van coming into the pits. Puts on a fresh set of medium tyres and leaves the pits. Let's just have a look where he regains the circuit. And he comes out into what looks like 12th place. He now has 20 laps to go. Will he be able to do 20 laps on the medium? We'll soon find out. Afro, Fricky, Top Gun, all at the top of your standings. They're all on mediums, 15 laps old. So if they can get those mediums up to 20 laps, then I do believe that Van will go till the end on those tyres. Mediums must maybe just start to feel like they're dropping off. Ooh, what's happened here? Virus has lost position. Andre up into P4. I've made a mistake. I got a mistake. Sorry about that. Sorry to everyone who's listening. I made a mistake. I got confused between the Mercs. Virus did not make a mistake. Two Mercs now, P2 and P5. Just lost my bearings for a second there. This battle between Fricky and Top Gun has gone on for way too long. Top Gun, first one to, ironically, pull the trigger. He jumps into the pits, puts on a brand new set of hards, which will definitely take him to the end of this race. While Fricky decided to stay out one more lap on the mediums, and that has immediately triggered a pit stop from Fricky, who jumps on the brakes just before your speed limiter line. He's going to come in and hopefully he's not going to get undercut very badly. Let's see, where is Top Gun on the circuit? He's going around the final corner. Where is Fricky? Fricky's emerging from the pits. And look at that. They're still together. Fricky P8, Top Gun P9. But that gap is somewhat different. Those two have been on much of the same strategy throughout the race, but now things have definitely changed because Fricky came out in P8, Top Gun came out in P9. The tyre strategies, very, very different for the two cars that have been together for most of the race. Fricky, set of brand new soft tyres. Top Gun, set of brand new hard tyres. Who made the right call? And can softs take it to the end? It would be a stretch and a stretch of note. Wonder if that was a mistake, or if that was intentional, but no one else out on track using the soft compound. At the front we have a Red Bull type lead for a Red Bull driver. 21 seconds. Andre P2 in the lead McLaren. He is on a set of 18 lap old hards. We will see him come into the pits in the next couple of laps. Disguised picks up a penalty. We've actually got a whole lot of penalties on our screens. I wonder how many of these penalties have to do with the pit entry. None of them apparently. Louis has a 10-second penalty. We saw that why that was That was earlier on in the race, and we actually caught it on the broadcast. Just ran out of place really to brake, would have run into a few cars in front of him, and had to take the liberty of jumping the hairpin, and that cost him a 10-second penalty. His teammates come into the pits since. Andre now dropping down the order into P8, and surely he will drop behind Fricky and Top Gun as well. There we go. Fricky and Top Gun been running so close. Now they've actually got Mr. Rem between them. Pit stops really did change your order up a little bit. And here's your leader. Comes into the pits. Afro had a lead of 23 seconds. He should come out still in the lead of this race. And he will come out in the lead of the race, because the man that was in P2 has also chosen to pit. Gap at the lead now 7 seconds, but your man in P2, P3 and P4 all need to make their mandatory stop. That should promote Fricky up into P2, where he's been most of the race. Mr. M doing a good job. He's in P6, but his tyres also in a bit of a middle of nowhere situation. They're 10 lap old mediums, and I'm not sure they can make the end of the race. So another pit stop will be needed. Obviously can't catch everything on the stream, but a lot of these pit stops that seem out of sync, in a lot of cases it was early damage for a driver who had to go into the pits unplanned, get another set of tyres, and then by the time it's time to do your actual pit strategy, you're already way on the back foot. This is the sort of race you pray for a safety car, but on this particular occasion, no safety car, no retirement. Fantastic driving. Here's your Season 4 commentator, Apmagozi. He comes into the pits and seems to be the first DNF of your evening. Yep, I think that's that. A DNF for the AlphaTauri. No, he's getting on his way. But I think that car will ghost to the end of the race. Disappointing, we got our first retirement. It was Apmagozi. And it looked like a voluntary retirement because he pulled into the pits for that. And Apmagozi's car has in fact disappeared from the track, so there won't be a ghosting AlphaTauri at the back of the field. Afro's lead, 14 seconds, and he's got a fresher set of tyres than the man in P2. Mr. M, he's in P3, but remember his pit stops are slightly out of sequence. First of the two Ferrari drivers, Van P5. Lap 24 of 36, 12 to go. And Afro leads the way. Fricky P2, Mr. Rem P3, but we don't know if he needs to pit again. Top Gun P4, and he's got a hard set of tyres. He's going to go to the end of the race. Andre, top McLaren P5. Coming under pressure from the Ferrari of Van in P6, then Virus P7, Ulrich P8, and Chums and Venom making up your top 10. Obviously SKR does partner with a few sponsors, and just to give them a mention, obviously G4 Sim. G4 Sim is a South African based company that manufactures gaming rigs, gaming seats, and they are offering a 5% discount to all SKR members. So you can visit their site, tell them SKR sent you, and you'll get that 5% discount. Okay, have a look at their website. They've got some pretty cost-effective rigs. If you're trying to get a rig set up and it's a little bit expensive, they do have some pretty cost-effective rigs, and I have one or two friends who have a G4 Sim rig at home. Mr. M still doing a good job holding on to P3 with those aging mediums. Top Gun will put him under pressure as this race continues, because those hard tyres are going to be in much better shape than his medium tyres in just a few laps from now. I think that will bring Top Gun back into your top 3, but he will no longer be line astern with Ricky, who's got on with this race. He's in P2, finally got rid of the Aston Martin, found some clean air, but he's not able to reel in the Red Bull. The gap getting slightly bigger with each and every single braking point. As we watch Afro drive around at the front of the field, all alone, we may as well mention another one of our sponsors. The second sponsor is Works Group South Africa. See, Works Group South Africa specializes in clothing garments as well as all your embroidery needs. You can visit Work Groups SA on their website, worksgroupsouthafrica.com. If you have any embroidery requirements, they're the people to speak to. Gap at the front, I would say, remains unchanged. It's big, that's unchanged, but it is getting bigger. And look at these two. Fricky coming under all sorts of pressure. I'm looking at the wrong car again. Top Gun coming under all sorts of pressure from Mr. Rem, but I think he's just breaking Mr. Rem now. Remember, he's got 16 lap old mediums. Those tires are going to start falling off. Remember, Fricky and Top Gun raced together throughout the race. Now they're separated by 6.5 seconds. But with 8 laps remaining, the crucial part could be the compounds they chose. Top Gun went on a set of hards. Fricky went on a set of softs. Surely the softs will drop off first. But when will they drop off? And will they drop off early enough for Top Gun to make full advantage, or to take full advantage rather? For 4th place, we have, it's actually for 3rd place. For P3 we have a DRS train involving Top Gun at the front, Mr. Rem, Andre, Van and Virus. As far as the final step of the podium goes, this race is far from decided. With a yellow flag in sector 3, all the cars do seem to be moving, so we should be under... There we go, green flag, no safety car. Is that? Either my game is glitching, or I'm seeing raindrops. Is my game glitching, or am I seeing raindrops? Let's ride on board. That is raindrops. We have raindrops with 6 laps to go. What will this mean? Or can the 6 go to the end? Obviously, as soon as it starts raining doesn't mean you have to jump into the pits. It takes a very long time for the track really to get to intermediate conditions. You usually know for sure when the game announces DRS has been deactivated. And look at this, a whole bunch of cars have come into the pits. 4 intermediates, Top Gun, Virus, Visor, Dixie Killer, all going for the gamble, jumping on intermediates early and hoping this rain gets a lot harder very quickly. Your leader has stayed out. Fricky has stayed out. Van has stayed out. Drivers to make that pit stop. Top Gun, Virus, Visor, Dixie Killer. Thing now to monitor Top Gun on a set of inters, car in front of him, Mr. Rem on a set of mediums, and let's try and follow that gap. The gap currently 8.6 seconds, and if the inter is the right tire to be on, that gap should come down substantially. Another driver has now pit for the inters. Top Gun 7 seconds behind Harsh Cartoon, and we'll see if that 7-second gap begins to drop, and you can see it dropping, but will it drop enough? Afro leads the way. This gap is so large he could make a pit stop. There we go, DRS disabled. This is officially intermediate conditions. Fricky comes into the pits. This is the man in P2. Your leader stays out for another lap. And I wonder if that's going to cost him. He's got a substantial lead. So this would have to be an absolutely terrible lap for Afro. Fricky now emerges from the pits. So many cars in the pits, we're going to have to wait for the end of this lap to know what the order is, because everybody jumping up and down the order. One thing we do know is Afro is still out on track on a set of softs. But surely now, with a 43-second lead, he will dive into the pits, put on a set of inters, and take it to the end of the race. Almost looked like he was going to have a bit of a lock-up and break the speed limit line, but got stopped just in time, or at least we haven't seen any sort of penalty on our screens. Remember, he had such a massive lead that even with pitting early, Fricky wouldn't be able to pull any sort of undercut. Maybe just close that gap slightly. Where is Harsh? Harsh Cartoon, the final man in the field. On dry compound tyres, and it's a set of hards. It's the most difficult set of tyres to light up. He's going to come into the pits, and hopefully for him, he's not going to drop to the back of the field as a result. No wing change needed, just a normal pit stop, so should be out pretty quickly. Afro leads 23 seconds. That gap is more or less the same as it was before the round of pit stops. Didn't see this rain coming. As far as your top three go, it's probably the top three that deserve to finish in the top three. They've been in the top three for a majority of the race. After the pit stops, things got muddled up a little bit. Then the rain came down, they all had to pit again. And they've emerged from the pits. Afro, Fricky, Top Gun. And the gap down to P4 does seem quite safe for now, so 3 laps to go and the top 3 should be secure. So long as nobody does anything silly. Scully picks up a 3-second penalty at the back of the field. Afro goes past the skies, laps the Alpine. Seems to be just staying intermediate conditions. The rain's not coming down any harder. I'm sure the drivers will be grateful for that. Penultimate round of SKR. We've had quite a few viewers, a lot of them popping in and out, not hanging around too long. But if you do pop into this channel, just remember to leave the channel a like if you haven't subscribed. Please do. And let's see if we can keep on growing the YouTube audience going into season 6 and really just spreading the word of the extremely quick drivers here at SKR, as well as the quality driving. And that's how we spread the word. We get more people to see it. Scully with a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, just keeps on racking them up. Top Gun coming under pressure for that final podium spot. Van in the Ferrari right on his tail. Remember, no DRS in the wet. So if you're going to get past in the wet, it needs to be 100% all on your own. You're not going to get that boost. Drivers still have the use of ERS, but that will be the only assistance they have. And unlike DRS, the car in front of you may have ERS too, so it doesn't always work. So if you look at those two cars, they've got similar levels of ERS, but the Ferrari has flown by on the inside. Aston Martin almost losing it. Gets the car collected, and Top Gun regains in 4th place. Top 3 now, Afro, Fricky and Van. 2 laps remain. Two laps left. We need to say thank you to our 3rd sponsor here at SKR. 3rd sponsor being LMT Accounting Services. They offer you assistance with all your accounting services, including financial statements, cash flow reports, budgets, payroll services, and so much more. You can find them on Facebook. Just search LMT Accounting South Africa. Lap 36 of 36. We have a few kilometers to go. Leader has just gone through the hairpin. Currently in the middle of Sector 2. Look for any close battles on track. This is the only sort of close battle on track. It's Virus and Top Gun. Still looking to decide that P4. Hasn't been decided yet. At the front, leader, closing stages, penultimate corner for Afro. Now into the final corner. You can see the start-finish line. Don't know if he'll do a weave in the wet. It's a little dangerous, but he goes over the line, wins the race by an incredible 30 seconds. Fricky. He enters sector 3 now. And this P2 to him should be just as good as P1. He really had to fight for this. He had to fight Top Gun for so many laps. And he eventually came out on top of that battle. He's going to go over the line now and finish P2. Divan not far behind. Top Gun not far behind. P3, Top Gun P4. He does have a penalty. Let's see how that applies. Top Gun loses a position due to penalties. We'll wait for the official results. Mr. Rem over the line. We have a bit of a break. Harsh Cartoon and Visor will come over the line. Now we await the two Williams. Chums over the line first in P12. Dixie Killer P13. Both these cars have penalties. Positions may change. The driver of the day goes to Van, the Ferrari driver. Van 101. And there we have your official results. Afro wins the race from pole position, also won the sprint race. Let me just get that right. There we go. Afro wins the race from pole position, then Fricky finishes P2 from P2. Ulrich takes P3, Van in P4, Andre P5 in the top performing McLaren. Then Top Gun, as a result of those penalties, goes all the way down to P6. Virus P7, Mr. Rem P8, Venom P9, and Harsh Cartoon making up the top 10. Outside of the top 10, Visor P11, then the two Williams, Chums and Dixie Killer 12 and 13, Louis 14, Disguise 15. Not sure if Scully was racing at the end there, but he's 16th and 4 laps adrift. And Atmagozi, we saw him retire from the race in the pit lane. So there we have it, folks. That is round 9 of season 5 here at the Red Bull Ring. We have one race to go. And still a lot of positions that can change within the championship, even though the winner of the championship and the winner of the constructors have been decided. Still lots to play for in round 10, 1 week from now at Albert Park. And I'll see you then. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.